Because our next block is about to begin, and it's titled Regulatory and HTA Perspective. It focuses on regulatory science, health technology assessment, and the increasingly important alignment between evidence generation and patient access. So let me please invite Dr. Eva Hrušková Reinová to the stage. She is the head of the Clinical Trials and Pharmaceuticals Unit at the State Institute of Drug Control of the Czech Republic. Her lecture is titled Past, Present and Future of ATMP per Regulatory Perspective. Dr. Reinová will reflect on how the regulatory environment for ATMPs has evolved over the past decade and what opportunities and challenges lies ahead. Dr. Reinová, you have the mic.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for invitation. Well, I will start with the motto of my presentation. It could be Citius, Altius, Fortius, Communitaire. It means faster, higher, stronger, together. And if this motto sounds you familiar, it's a motto also of Olympic Games. So, more tricky part. Okay. So, in this era, we are approaching to personalized medicine, and advanced medicine therapies perfectly fit for purpose, but there are two buts, and there are two sides of coins. The first 2 points, highly innovative and often individualized therapies and complex and non-standard manufacturing process leads many of all to high costs, and high costs leads to less accessibility for patients. There are limited clinical and non-clinical data in early development phases because there are lack of non-clinical models, for example. And the clinical development often involves small patient populations, so therefore a rare disease. And also we are challenging medical devices as an integral part of the medicine. It's challenging for us as regulators that we are assessing, but it's challenging for industry to developing combined ATMPs. And the big issue, and nowadays most than ever, is unregulated advanced therapies. So we are social media. We are living in the world of TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and whatever. And there are huge impact of influences nowadays. And they sell unregistered novel medicine as they presented, miracle medicine, and we are super trying to campaigning against illegal drugs sales on internet. But as you know, the battlefield in this area is really big. Well, here's an overview of ATMPs that have marketing authorizations till nowadays. It's 30 ATMPs. 9 of them has marketing authorization withdrawal, but this is not for safety reason. It's business reason. It needs to be emphasized that this is not a safety risk. So, is it too much? Is it not enough? We can ask, could it be more? Could we make these numbers higher, Altius? This is my first question. Here you see the picture, the race of marketing authorization of ATMPs. And well, it's starting in 2009. It ends last year. It's being faster, but it's not fast enough. Do we need more? Could we be faster than the rest of the world? We here in the European Union, faster, it means cities. Well, and there comes some overviews and some comparisons of work of Committee for Advanced Therapy to say how European Unions tried to provide clarifications and scientific advices procedure for for companies, for investigators. And I want to say that in the Committee for Advanced Therapy, SUKL has its representative for the very beginning. The first representative was Dr. Thomas Borain, our current director of SUKL. I would like to welcome him here. He's here. And till the very beginning, we have our representative in this committee. This is very interesting comparison of providing scientific advices procedures. The number is rising, but as you can see, in the past 4 years, there should be almost 250 scientific advices. But how many investigators or companies come from these scientific advices proceed to real clinical trial? And how of them who proceed to clinical trials goes and develop his product to marketing authorizations? There's really small numbers. And another question is, do non-academic or academic and non-commercial investigators really know that there is a possibility to go to CAT and ask for scientific advice? Well, this is what we see as regulators, where it moves from the past to present. In the past, in the 2016, majority of ATMPs were non-commercial entities. Now, what we see in Czech Republic in SUKL, it's balanced commercial and non-commercial entities nowadays. It's still predominantly phase 1 or phase 2. It's oncology dominant and rare disease dominant. What's different is clinical trial auto applications approval. In the past, it was solely in national level. Now, with clinical trial regulation, it comes coordinator assessment, but, and there is another but, a lot of applicants for ATMPs is mononational clinical trials. So there is still national level of assessment. Of course, we're very happy when we see ATMPs or multinational clinical trial because we can learn each from other, but it's less than we want to see. And well, there was a VHP water harmonization procedure, and now we have CITES, so it's centralized EU portal. Then we communicated with sponsor. What is the situation in the Czech Republic? In the old way of submission clinical trial application via directive, there was 17 commercial and 8 non-commercial clinical trials. But I have to say that we're providing scientific advices, and we get a lot of much more non-commercial scientific advices than they actually then goes to clinical trials. And one of the reasons is money. Because when academics see what it costs, what effort it costs to go to clinical trial and to start development, they trying to seek approach via some support of commercial sectors. And there is, in my opinion, huge place for state and state institution to support in financial way non-commercial sponsor. What we see in the CITES, in the regulation CTR, there's 37 commercial and 9 non-commercial, and we have 2 non-commercial multinational clinical trials, and we are very proud of them, even if it's not based in the Czech Republic. Majority is gene therapy, then somatic cell therapy, and tissue engineering therapy. So, how we can support sponsors, commercial and non-commercial? There is a support from national competent authorities, national scientific advice, and also multinational scientific advice. I want to say that we as SUKL provide academic subjects is free of charge scientific advice. And we are really happy when they come to us, first of all, because they set the development of ATMPs well from the very beginning. It's really sad that you see that they're trying to do something, they don't know what they do, and then waste time, money, and effort. The multinational scientific advice we are involved in is simultaneous national scientific advice. I put the link on my presentation when you can find more information. And also, this is a harmonization procedure when you obtain scientific advice for more than one member state concerned. We don't need to agree each of other, but you can obtain advices from multinational level. And there is a pre-CTA advice. It's led by HMA Clinical Trial Coordination Group, which I am a member on. And it's based on regulatory aspects on clinical trials, because what we see in ATMP trials more often is like a complex trials, platform trials. So when the company or subject are not sure how to is in a regulatory level, we can provide our advice. There are a lot of guidelines. And the other question, is there anything that especially non-commercial sponsor get overview where they can find an information about guidelines and about proper guidelines, because we are overloaded with guidelines. So which one is fit for purpose for their clinical trial? So I emphasize here 2 main guidelines that can be focused on, but there's still more. Yes. And also we are as Suko trying to help to, make easy regulatory perspective. In the last year, we improved the rules of submitting application for gene therapy clinical trials. The current wording of degree of call of good manufacturing practice relaxes the requirements for preparation and investigation medicine products containing GMO. And in addition to accelerate the approved process for gene clinical therapy, applicants are no longer obligated to submit approval from Ministry of Environment during clinical trial application. It needs to be obtained as well, but it's enough to obtain it before start of the clinical trial in the Czech Republic. And also I put here a support from IMA. There's a prime scheme. I also put a link to my presentation. If it be spread to clinicals, non-clinicals companies, there are some information you can get. And in the table down, you can see how the requests and discussed projects are increasing during the past 4 years. And it's good that the number are increasing, and we hope it will be increasing again. Well, the topic, hospital exemption. It was said about it. There is a way how to provide ATMPs for participants or for patients in unmet medical need outside the regulatory approved marketing authorization process. Well, there are some rules that hospital exemptions need to fulfill. The preparation on non-routine basis. And it was a huge discussion on the multinational forum. What means on a non-routine basis? It means it's only for one patient, of group of patients. And this question is a little bit tricky, and we didn't pretty much agree about multinational level. Preparation according to specific quality standards. As my colleague from Spain said, they want to complete quality documentation. We also want to see quality complete documentation and some preclinical data and support from clinical trials to be able to authorize hospital exemption. Use within the same member state, use in the hospital, and use under the exclusive responsibility of medical practitioner. And that's another problem. Do really medical practitioner knows and are informed what are their responsibilities when they use the hospital exemption? Because what we see in clinical trials, not all investigators know what are their responsibilities. and what they are responsibility for, how huge responsibility it is. And do the practitioners know it about hospital exemption? That's another question. Here's I borrow a little quite nice picture that shows you the standard pathway, how to ATMPs get to patient and what's the difference in hospital exemption. It make it shorter, make it precisely. And we hope it make it shorter. Our experience with hospital exemption is that we got one approved application for hospital exemption from Munich Reatic. We congratulate each other, and we learned during the process of authorization, we learn each from other how to proceed with that. What is quite there's some our legal framework. I also put the link. We are State Institute for Drug Control. We are the regulatory authorities, the only one who can approve hospital exemption. So if you want to get some application, go to the SUCO, not to any other entity. We got a question if EMA approves it. No, it's only national regulatory authorities. And we got 7 approved ATMPs manufacturing locations, GMP certificate in Czechia, 5 in the hospitals, and 2 in small bio companies. Oh, main red numbers. So where we see the future is risk-based approach. Well, we got some risk-based approach described in guidelines. There are some risk-based approach adapted in the scientific advices, scientific specific risk profile, flexibility in non-clinical and clinical data requirements, because as I said, for some disease, there are no non-clinical models that we can test on, so we have to be flexible. Support non-commercial sponsor. There are system of scientific advices, guidelines, PROM scheme, but the non-commercial sponsor need to be informed that this possibility is existing. So I'm very proud of our Czech colleagues that they made and lead the project EU for Health for support non-commercial sponsor. I put them their logo, I borrow it. And well, I've been watching in preparation a lot of EU for Health projects in SUCO, so I know how big effort and huge amount of time it's consumed and how it's difficult. So really, I would say that Czech did an amazing work, and we are really proud of them. Cross-border clinical trials and cross-border hospital exemption. It's a big discussion on the multinational field, how to manage it. We heard a lot from the previous session about cross-border trials, cross-border access for patients. And well, the limitations are, of course, financial, but the big limitations are informations. There are no information for patients. And cross-border hospital exemptions is also the topic. It's really priority for multinational and EU level. For example, in the small countries like Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, they are really connected. And how to manage the hospital exemption for us in the Czech Republic is a question of including our partners Slovakia, because they are a little bit behind us. So they ask us how we can be cooperated, and if there was some hospital exemption, could they be involved, if there be some cross-border possibilities. It's not so far from Slovakia to Brno, so they are interested in it. And it also leads to support patients' access to ATMP treatment, because at the end of this regulatory huge burden and financial burden and whatsoever, at the end, there's a patient who needs help and needs it as quick as possible. Yeah. So, conclusion, stronger together. And well, I know that my presentation maybe brings more questions than answers, but what I see if all of this is that we need dialogue, and not even dialogue with clinical researchers, companies, ministries, EU members, regulatory authorities. But as my colleagues say from Spain, dialogue with patients, because patients are not only subjects of this hospital exemption of clinical trials, but they need to be partners, because we are doing it for them. So we need to know what they really need, what they want to from this cure. Is it like we don't put treatment for biomarkers or some values? We treat patients. We want make his life better, whole life, not only his value of some enzymes or something like that. And also, 22 seconds. So, and there is a link for a map in the clinical trial information system. There is a clinical trial map where patient can put their diagnosis, and it shows them where our clinical trials are conducted in whole EU. They can filter its country or another country, his diagnosis. But well, what my colleague said for UK, they will filter a lot of clinical trials, but they don't know what it's fit for them, because there's still lack of information about the process, not only about the diagnosis, but about the process. So, and my time is up. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reinová, for this thought-provoking lecture.